Hello everybody, Michael Passage here, also known as SoCal Indo. Today another episode again from Meet the SoCal Indos. Today I'm driving first to West Covina, to the Hong Kong Plaza, and from there on we're moving all the way to Riverside County. Let's go! So we are on our way to West Covina. West Covina, there's a famous Hong Kong Plaza, meeting point for a lot of Indos here in SoCal. There's a few restaurants. We're going to meet Jacque, Erin and Braedy Benjamins, and from there on we're going to Braedy's house all the way in Riverside County. So we're gonna meet up with Tante Liza and John. And of course the kids. So we're gonna meet up first, second and third generation SoCal Indos. Excited! It touched me the ground, I'm on a hunt, I'm after you. Smell like a sound, I'm lost in the crowd, and I'm hungry like the whoa. That fucking traffic after you. Juice is like wine, and I'm hungry like the whoa.
Where's he at?
I don't know.
How you been? Cuma sama you think should be the first question here? Hey guys, I'm here at the Hong Kong Plaza in West Covina, and I'm meeting up with this beautiful family, with Braedy, Jacque and Erin, and second generation Indos born over here in SoCal. And they're gonna tell about their life, the story of their life. Remember that song from this British band, The Story of My Life? One Direction. Braedy is the first one who's gonna tell about him, and then Sid's gonna take over. Braedy.
Yeah, born here in SoCal, in Glendora, California. Pretty much raised my whole life there. Covina, born in Glendora, raised in Covina, lived in West Covina half of my other life. Just been a great place to live, really. I mean, there's no better. I don't think there's any other better place other than the beach, but you know, not all of us are that
I
lucky.
agree with you, because that's the reason I'm here. I left Holland for years, so and Brady's right. There's no better place to fulfill your dreams than in SoCal.
And I
agree?
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
What about you, Jacque?
Yeah, same. We all grew up together. Covina. Went to the same high schools together.
What was the name of the high school?
Covina High.
Covina High. Yeah.
Yep. And then just in a great area. We had lots of friends, and both sets of Oma and Opas were blocks away from us.
Yeah. Opas and Omas, so from mom's side and dad's side. So tell me about the family from dad's side, who they are, who they were, and from mom's side, who they are or who they were.
Dad's side, Benjamins.
Okay.
My maiden name obviously is Benjamins. Yeah, they lived also in Covina. Dad was, I don't remember when Dad came to Covina. He was young. He was
born in the Netherlands.
He was born in the Netherlands.
Came over when he was 5. Him and his brother Rob.
And I think they came straight into the San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah.
I think.
And Rob is still here?
Maryland, lives in Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah, his job took him computer, something with computer engineering and stuff like that.
So there's 5 of them. So there's our dad, Ernesto,
that's the oldest one, Ernesto Benjamins.
N.O. Benjamins, and then it's Rob, and then it's Tante Sharon, and then it's the baby,
Roger.
Uncle Roger. So
Got
it's the
it.
5 of them. Yeah. And then our Opa was the Dutch Indo, and then our Oma was just Dutch.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Erin, tell me about Oma and Opa from mom's side. What's your mom's maiden name?
Poortman.
Poortman. Okay. Yeah.
They were both born in Indonesia,
Okay.
Java and Sumatra.
Oma and Opa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Java and Sumatra. Oma was Sumatra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they met in Holland, and then they moved here to the U.S. And then they had my mom. She was born in
Wheats, Minnesota.
yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota?
Yep.
Minnesota.
In
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Well, they got
Sponsored.
sponsored from Holland,
Okay.
and then their sponsorship was Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
So your mom is the oldest from the Poortmans?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then my sister Liza, and
Who we're
then
gonna meet today, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yana, which she passed away when she was 4 from a heart failure.
4 years old.
Heart condition.
Yeah, heart condition.
Yeah.
Baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then my Uncle John. And he came way later, and he's a little bit more closer age with us.
Yeah.
So we kind of consider him
John
as-
Poortman, that's the Starship Trooper. That's We're gonna meet him later on.
Star
so,
Wars.
yeah. So Braedy, tell me about your childhood. How was childhood growing up in SoCal? I remember coming here as a kid in SoCal, Christmas holiday, Easter and summer. So it was something to look forward to. But imagine living here and being born here. How was that? In the 70s, right? Or
Yeah, no, I mean, our families, I mean, both sides, but mainly like my mom's side, very family oriented. So holidays, Christmas Eves were just always something to look forward to. I mean, even Easter was great, you know, because the whole family got together. Halloween's at my Oma's house. The block was filled with kids. It was one of my favorite holidays on her street in Covina. Yeah, you know, and summer, obviously summer times, because we grew up with my Oma and Opa had a pool. Both of them actually did. So there were always gatherings. If it was birthdays, holidays, there was always gatherings at my Oma and Opa's. There was lots of Indo food, lots of, you know, in the pool and getting thrown in, and it was a good time with the, you know, family community and holidays and just being around each other.
yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
being Indo-Dutch, how was December 5th celebrated, Sinterklaas? How was that? Was it something that was still something to look forward to, like Santa Claus is coming to town tonight, or it was equal?
No.
No. So it was.
Sparta Pete was gonna put me in the bag.
There you go.
A little scary.
Yeah, I remember going to the SOS or
Yeah.
the Afio, and it was.
There you go.
It was the Sinterklaas time, and they would shake their things at us, and my mom, Uncle John used to tease us all the time. You know, you're going in the bath this year. You know. So it was scary. We have pictures actually, and Erin is just like tears, and we're just like,
White.
yeah, just white with fear. We're like, yeah.
But it was still always fun though. It was
It
always
was.
fun to go.
So you guys went to the SOS and to the Avio.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yep.
That's,
I remember the SOS more than anything.
Yeah, me
really,
too.
like just being there with all the other kids and listening to our Ooms and Omas and Opas talk Dutch the whole time. You know, it was,
Tell dirty
it was
jokes
still
all the time.
It's very hazy for me because we were very very young.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and that was not too far, just
Yeah.
down the street here.
Yeah.
It was where we met with the SOS.
Would be that in Long Beach too, right?
There was one in Long Beach, but where we would go is right down the street here
Yeah.
in West Covina.
Yep.
Growing up as an Indo kids over here, you just mentioned you were going to the SOS and the Avio, meeting families, and even though we're not families, we're sharing the same Ooms and Tantes.
Oh yeah.
And same
Everyone's
cousins,
Oom,
right?
everyone's Tante.
Do you remember from when you were young, do you still have friends from those days who are also Indo, or now again with social media you can connect again? Is there some particular person of you, Erin, Jacque, or Braedy, that you remember as a kid and then that you now after 20, 30 years met
See
again? Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Obviously, social media has done that in many different platforms, and seeing older. I mean, to be quite honest, it's more or less our family is so large on my dad's side. Reconnecting with those cousins and others that we were family, but not very close. But because of social media, has brought us a little bit closer. At least being able to see each other's kids
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So. The SOS, man, I don't know if I can other than like our Oma and Opa's friends we grew up with, seeing their kids, you know, on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
It's always a delight to see them, but it's still just so hard to remember so far back when we were so small.
Yeah, it was more like family. We were all family, so everyone was a cousin, or you know, we hung out with our cousin. And obviously, she's like a sister to us. That's Tasha. That's our Oma's sister's. So she's technically our second cousin, but she's our age. So, but yeah, we were really young during that SOS time. So, but when I was in high school, well, I went to a different junior high. So when I was coming into Covina High, I was kind of new.
Yeah.
And I was in homeroom, and they're calling our names, and he said Benjamin, and I stood up, and there was two of us standing up, and I'm like, who are you? You know, I'm like, Benjamin's with an S? He's like, yeah. Long story short, he's like a second cousin that I never met, and you know, they
Never
lived
heard
right
of
down
him,
the
yeah.
street from us. Yeah.
And who was he or she?
He was Eric.
Eric Benjamins.
Yeah,
And
Eric Benjamins.
Yep. Grandson of the Tante Poppy and
Yeah. So on our dad's side, just cousins.
Yeah.
You know, cousins of my dad's, their kids, and
And that was high school.
High school.
After that, you met each other again, or there was?
yeah, we hung
still
out in
close.
high school a little. Yeah, everyone knew we were cousins. You know,
Yeah.
after that. But I'm like, it's so weird to meet someone because your family's so big, and you
Yeah.
do have so many like second cousins, third cousins.
Well,
You're just like, hey,
yeah,
we're
that happened to
family.
me. That happened to me too. Dating a girl at a different school, and she's like, "Oh man, you and your cousin."
Nothing as good as dating your cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
No, not
Oh yeah, that's a good one. No, this girl was like, "Hey, you're just like your cousin." And I was like, "What cousin is that?" And she was like, "Oh, your cousin Teppy." And I was like,
I don't have a cousin.
"Who's that?" And she's like, "Your cousin Teppy. He looks just like you, has the same last name." I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she goes, "No, I'm going to introduce you guys." So one day after school, I went with her and met my cousin Teppy. Well, I mean, we're like best friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, same grade, and literally met through a girl that I dated who was friends with him, and he went to Charter Oak, and I went to Covina. So then
Neighboring cities.
Yeah. Then after that, you know, what's weird is we were exactly the same. We both loved music. We both played music. And then that's how our relationship actually like blossomed, because it was 90s kids. You know, we went to go see Pearl Jam, and we went to concerts and stuff like that. So that's another whole thing about the Indos. You know, music.
90s,
The music.
90s kids, 90s kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Huge 90s kid. I mean, I'm a musician. I was in bands forever. Just that's all we played was 90s music. You know,
Well, he gets
so.
that from our dad too. Our dad
So
is or was a
Is-
musician.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. It's good to know for the viewers, you know. So Indos and music. I mean, there's always one Indo who knows how to play, how to
yeah.
sing,
Yeah.
or how to write, you know. What about, so you already said a little bit, profession, you like music, you played in band. Did that also go to your current profession?
Oh, yeah.
Music or?
100%. If it wasn't like being in a band and music was kind of college for me. I wasn't very, how can I say, school smart. I hated high school. Barely graduated, but music was my outlet. Then music turned to going to shows, going to concerts. Then from going to concerts, went to, you know, clubs, underground clubs, and then that went to me working in the industry that I'm in now, which is the concert industry, as a I guess you want to, you know, people call it roadie, which then.
That's a big, I mean,
Yeah.
what's a roadie? I mean,
Well, roadie's
it's-
anything, you know, you're in the
There you go.
lighting, you're in the video, you're
Sound,
into sound.
lighting, yeah.
Where I took it as I went into the lighting, and then went into video, and now own a video business. So it's definitely music, and being influenced by my father, who was a musician, but then influenced by, like, I mean, literally Van Halen was,
Yeah.
you know, that's what I wanted to do. Because of Van Halen, I wanted to.
Did you, Jack, or you, Erin, back then, growing up, 90s, what was Right Here, Right Now was a 90s Van Halen song, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys know, hey, they're Indos like us, or was still that little question mark where you knew already?
No, we already knew.
Okay.
We knew because actually, my John,
Yeah.
our Tante
Shul.
Shul, I think was someone in her family, like her husband's
So the
mother.
Oma.
Oma was
Van Halen, the boys' Oma.
yeah. So my uncle John went to Monsters of Rock, so he went to go see Metallica, Dokken, Van Halen, under with the gift of being a VIP pass with Van Halen.
Yeah.
So we always knew that the Van Halens were.
And Tasha's
were
mom, Tante Schul, went to the wedding. Eddie. For Eddie. Yeah.
With Valerie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. So we got your profession. Jackie, what is
Jacqueline.
There is Jackie. It sounds so pushy. Yeah, you know. Jackie,
Jacques.
what? Okay, I remember your story back in the first story of SoCal Indos of the month. You were talking about Indos and Green Eyes, and my good close friend Randy, who was the face of Gas until Anna Nicole Smith came. You know, tell me more. And then you told me something about Gas. You know, tell me about. Your younger years going from high school to working.
How do you remember that? Where are you pulling that from?
Yeah.
So I got a job. I think before I had kids. I was married though, and it was window displaying, displays for retail.
Yeah.
I had worked for a small boutique, and I'd gotten into window displays because I would be bored and mess around with their displays. And then I would do their windows, and then they would sell out of whatever I put in the window. So I got into merchandising and displaying, and then I got a job on Rodeo Drive for guests. And yeah, that was a fun job. That was a good job, you know, to work on Rodeo Drive, you know, for guests too. So, but yeah.
Driving West Covina to.
Yeah, that was hard. Yeah. That was really hard. It didn't last very long because my husband and I married when we were 18, and he was in the Air Force.
So. Your husband Chris, right?
Yeah.
So you guys were high school lovers? Okay.
Yeah.
So guys,
we knew each other in junior high too.
It does exist. You know, true love is not only with Bing Crosby. No, true love was Grace Kelly and true love. And no, it does exist because Jacque and Chris is a beautiful living example. So tell something about Chris, your husband. I know, but I want you to tell the viewers who Chris is because
he's a great guy.
There you go. And what does he do for a living?
He's a fireman.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
So yeah, he's so when we first got married, he was in the Air Force as a fireman, and then he did his 4 years, got out, and then he's been a federal firefighter ever since. We moved a couple of different places, but ended up in Camp Pendleton. So he's a lieutenant for Camp Pendleton.
Yeah. So you guys live. So where do you live now then?
Fallbrook.
Fallbrook, is it still LA County or is it?
No, it's like North County, San Diego.
So it's already San Diego County?
Yeah, so like from here you would go, like you're going to Temecula and you go past Temecula.
So that's
right
the 15 freeway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you live far away, I mean.
Kind of,
To
yeah.
him first and then you go straight to the 15 to San Diego.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a few Indos over there, I know that.
In the Fallbrook area?
Yeah.
So I met another Indo, and we're really good friends now. We call each other Twindos, because
his name?
her name is Megan.
Yeah, there you go.
McDonough, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. So we met because our kids were in the same kind of school, like this little school, and I had needed to go to the library, and our daughters had met already. So Neve had came home, our second daughter, and she's like, "Mom, there's someone who's Dutch Indo, you know?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool." She's like, "But she doesn't look like me. She's blonde and white." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
But
So,
Megan?
Yeah.
I know. I've never met her, but I know Megan from social media and her mom too. But
yeah, her last name's Goody. Yvonne.
Tante
Goody?
Fonny, yeah. I mean, Yvonne, but typical Indo, long names are always short, you know. Yvonne becomes funny, you know, and that is typical, but yeah.
Yeah, so she's great. So I met Megan just on we happened to be in the library together. And I forgot exactly what it was, but I asked her, "How do you do this? We're new here." And Megan looks up, she's like, "Are you Indo?" I'm like, "Are you Indo?" Yeah, so we're like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
You know, so ever since then we're friends.
That is,
we have a similar growing, like, up too, so.
Coming,
Yeah.
What about you, Erin? Tell me something about you.
I guess starting out, played a lot of soccer in high school. I thought I was going to be a professional soccer player. My Opa would always coach and like go to the games.
Opa Poortman, Opa Benjamin?
Poortman.
Poortman, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he coached all of us.
Oh, yeah.
With soccer. I mean, even volleyball or swim.
Yeah.
Coach did
Yeah,
that
even
too,
diving in his pool, you
Yeah.
know, he had to perfect everything.
Yeah.
So,
Is Opa still alive?
no.
None from the Opas are almost.
We have one Opa left. My dad's dead. He's still alive.
How old is he?
Oh
He's in
man.
his 90s.
Yeah,
92, 93.
yeah. He's getting up there for
Yeah.
sure. He lives in Palmdale.
Was he imprisoned during the?
Yeah, oh yeah.
All of them except for my dad's mom. So,
Because she was Dutch.
Yeah.
She was a Dutch woman in Holland.
Okay.
so Oma and Opa Poortman were in the prison camp.
Is he still okay, or he's really depending on?
He's getting. I mean, man, he's been strong for a while, but just lately, he's getting his age is getting to him. We haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, he's getting there.
Do you guys know about the back pay in the Netherlands? So you guys already doing this? Because what I do for Griselda Meuleman, she's a hero to me. She's a news broadcaster. She used to be, but now she's writing books about the Dutch Indies, and she's fighting for those like your Opa who've been in the camps, who were employees of the Dutch government back then.
Yeah.
And they deserve money from the
Yeah.
Dutch government, and I can give you all the documents to fill out because
Yeah.
you guys are siblings. I mean, you guys are his grandkids, you know, and then because that's what we're fighting for. It's called Indisch rechtsherstel. And then I represent them in SoCal. So I'm meeting with opas and omas who been in the camps, and if he hasn't been reached out to, let me know.
Yeah.
Because then definitely he is
For
for
sure.
sure qualifying for that.
Yeah.
Now he's still alive.
Yeah.
And even when there are opas and omas who passed away, their grandkids or kids, they get that, you know. So it's very
Oh, wow.
important to.
I'll definitely look into that.
Yeah, I mean, they deserve it. The
Yeah, of
stories
course, yeah.
that we heard from our Oma and Opa,
Yeah.
crazy, you know. I mean, I always think about when I have toast with butter, my Oma's story was, that's the first thing she ate when she was freed, was she just wanted toast with butter and sugar.
Yeah.
That was
Sugar
her first
back
thing,
in- yeah.
that she ate.
So I'm here in front of Yanti Noodle. Yanti Noodle is one of the Indonesian restaurants in the food court in Hong Kong Plaza. You have China Kitchen, Indo Bistro, and this is my favorite. And right when I was talking to Erin, Jacque, and Braedy, Sandra came to me and she told me, Michael, this might be the last time that I'm gonna see you because we're gonna move. So it happened to be that the owner of this building, he's going to kick all the restaurants out and he's gonna rent it out for something else. So I'm gonna talk to Sandra over here. And Sandra, please tell my viewers what's gonna happen with Yanti Noodle in May. Tell them so you can tell what's going on and so they know.
Thank you, Michael, for stopping by to our restaurant. You know what, actually, really sad story that we have to move. There's all entire food court in here we need to move by May 31st. The thing is, the good thing, we have a new place that we can move, and then we can still serve our food to all the lover, you know. And then, you know what, we will moving to 168. Market inside the inside the market in the Kolima. I will upgrade again the full address.
Okay.
And then if your follower want to follow me, we have the Instagram right now is 62 street food. We changed the name because right now people confusing about our restaurant. They thought we just selling about noodle.
Yeah.
But the thing is we sell a lot of things beside the noodle. You know, I have the the gudeg. I have soto Betawi.
Yeah.
The egg oxtail soup. That's really favorite.
Soup buntut.
Yeah, soup
Egg
buntut.
oxtail is soup buntut, okay? So she's just saying it, you know. So Yanti Noodle is gonna stay. Only they're gonna change the name. And what's
Yes.
gonna be the new name?
62 plus 62 street food.
Plus 62 street food.
You know what is meaning about it? Plus 62?
Plus 62 is the country code for Indonesia.
Yes,
okay?
that's why we.
It's very important.
Yes. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. So keep on following us on SoCal Indo plus 62 food is going to be the new name from Yanti noodle.
Yes.
It's not only noodle, it's all kind of traditional Indonesian food. Specialty is soup buntut, oxtail soup. Right?
I have the satay too, gado-gado.
There we go.
You know, everything like whatever that you want to find in Indonesia that you missed in that,
Yeah.
I have it.
Perfect. I'll make sure that the loyal visitors from the food court will go to you.
Thank you
Okay?
so much, Michael.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for coming.
Okay.
Okay, I'll see you soon. Okay.
For sure. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Voila, we arrived at Jerupa Valley at the house from Braedy and Tante Liza. So come on and let's go to the kumpulan.
Hi, Michael.
How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good.
Oh, it's good to see you. It's been a while.
So I'm here at the house from Tante Liza, and Tante Liza is sitting next to Om John, but over here the kids say Lisa and John. Anyhow, Lisa's gonna share stories just like Jacque, Erin and Braedy did earlier. And first of all, the first question is, how was it to be born as a first generation American Indo or Amerindo? And yes, the word is to you. How was it being raised as a SoCal Indo in Southern California?
I think the mere fact that my parents never shied away from telling my sister and I and my brother who we were and where we came from, I actually took pride in that. I understood that my parents were in Indonesia and they were in prison camp, and I heard those stories. We ate dinner together every night at 5 o'clock, and then the stories would start. And of course, growing up, I felt empowered by it. It didn't matter that I literally grew up in a white community at the time growing up, and I never felt like the dark girl because my parents absolutely empowered me to know I knew where I came from. And I think at a young age, Michael, I really understood what my parents had gone through. And they loved the United States. My parents immigrated from Holland to to a little town in Minnesota called Duluth through the Episcopal Church. And we stayed with my godparents. Their names were, last name was Alcox. And they just embraced my parents and gave them a place to live, started my dad off with a job. And my parents loved the United States. They became citizens. They were very proud of that. I have the original paperwork from them, but they never forgot where they came from. And my dad always told me, we live in the land of milk and honey. And he embraced that. We didn't grow up rich, but we grew up by any means. But we knew who we were, and I never felt like the dark girl. And I think it was because my parents empowered me. And they told me to embrace everything that they didn't have. And I adopted that. My sister, myself, and my brother, I think, embraced that. And we were allowed to be Americans, but also love our Dutch Indonesian heritage. And I think growing up with my parents involved in the AFIO and also DeSos.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that sense of community built by
Yeah.
those groups,
Absolutely.
I think, was integral in us understanding all the facets of being Indo. So we saw all the different characters, all the stereotypes, the archetypes that we can kind of like, we collected, right? And there was never a disconnect. There was always another Om or a Tante. It took me years to realize that wasn't family. So it was like, oh, we're not related,
But
but that's how tight everything
Yeah.
was. And all the people we were talking about earlier, love them all to death because they're like,
They're our
I grew
community.
up half my life thinking that was blood, and it might as well be. That was the
Right.
beauty of the community that we kind of grew up in. But
No, we were immersed.
yeah, for sure.
So teenagers, youngsters, and then later on you became young adults. Instead of going this, it went that way, most likely, right? I mean, you got married, family. So how often did you guys, because back with SOS, as far as I know, every week there were events, or once a month, you got the volleyball, bowling,
Soccer.
you name it, soccer also. Got the football club
Hawaiian
also.
dance,
I played.
Indo dance,
Yeah. When did that die out? I mean, the Avio is still there. It's Alpha Mike is on, but majority now is Indo, But what happened? I mean, it went sideways, I mean, while it should be sick, look at the Armenian community, I told your nieces too. There's a war, and suddenly
Yes.
the whole communication,
Well,
the whole
Glendale
Armenian
blows up.
There
yeah.
you go,
Yeah, for the Armenians, yeah.
So
yeah.
what happened to the Indo community here? I don't know, because I didn't grow up over here. I'm one of the last who became an American Indo. But what happened?
It's interesting because Braedy guys, they're the next gen beyond my age group, and they're still full Indo because of their pop. I married
A Latina?
I married Latina. Everybody else in the family married outside our. I mean, it's funny because I always say out of our race, not a race, out of our combo, out of our social, combination. But it feels so much like a race.
Yeah, it takes only one drop and you're Indo,
Right, right.
Well,
and
that lucky
instantly there.
is there. So no matter what, if
For
you're
us, it's like I always look at those three and go, man, they're rare. They're unicorns in this because going forward anymore, their blood's still what we pride ourselves on
100%.
with that,
Yeah.
But I think with the community, stuff like Facebook really kind of still keeps it together. I always hear people, oh, Facebook, this is bad. It is what you use it for, and I think a lot of the times just keeping touch with, like, I met you. I feel I know you already.
There you go.
Yeah.
Without having met you, but I think everything's spread out, but those you carry everything with you. But then when we have one of those get-togethers in Long Beach, where I got my shirt and you get re-energized with it, and you get those good feels, that good ohana, family feel.
But I think the ties were so strong with our parents. I'll do a for instance. When my mom was passing away, everybody that came to be with us and pray with us were all of her Indo, their group, Hermatius. And they all came knocking on the door, and they all just came to support and be with us, right? And
but it turned into this again, just everybody hanging out, talking about old times, and it wasn't like a somber event, but it was almost like, wow, we got to stop meeting at things like this.
We have to stop meeting at funerals,
right,
and start. So we do. I'm part of our groups. It's Moody Indo Kids, and it's all of my people that I grew up with. And it's not as if we don't get together every week like our parents did. I mean, and we did. We got together all the time. And John's quite a few years younger. There's a 9-year difference between he and I, and 13 years.
Still.
Yeah. And so for Renee and I, our whole life was, our weekends were about.
Looking forward to that, yeah?
Oh yeah, we always got together.
See, that's
with the
typical.
girls.
That's a typical. So, come back to me. The Netherlands, Belgium, where I was raised. I told Chris, it's like Orange County to LA County, the distance, you know. Belgium, we had a house like this with rooms and with a big backyard. And Holland is all
Yeah.
apartments, flats, you know.
Kleine bakkamers.
So,
Yeah.
going back to John saying, I mean, every stranger Indo is an oom and tante, you know.
Yeah.
Right. So all those Indos who met my parents back in Indonesia, who moved to the Netherlands, decided to stay, looking forward to the weekends, like you and Renee did, you know. So they came to us, and then there we go, food, music, and this typical card game. I mean, what is it? Bingo. I mean, I know poker, those card games, you know. Or
They played bridge a lot. My parents
thing,
with their
yeah.
group. Yeah.
And so, no matter where you are, that's a typical Indo thing. You know, you're looking forward to it. You know, hey, we're gonna meet. Did you stay in touch with Indos from your from your
Yeah.
teenage years?
Well,
Yeah.
interesting in Covina, our street was like the oddest thing. Han, Poortman lived down the street, full Indo family, the Poortmans, and then across the street, I grew up my lifelong for their family.
Yeah.
The Lehitus, Moluccan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Lehitus
Yeah.
are my family, you know what I mean? I love those people, and like I grew up with all of them, and we did, whenever I did soccer, I played against the SOS group because I was with the young Moluccans, and I played on their team, and it was always fun because I'd go against my ohms and stuff. They're like, you know, traitor, I'm like, and you know, best memories, and those weekends, I lived for those summer weekends where like we'd rush out to the field and we'd play, and it was a Indo team, like Indo-Chinese team, and all the communities brought their teams, but then food, and then hanging out afterwards. So yeah, those weekends were, that's, you know, my young life. A lot of people, you know, my age, their parents were building hot rods and different, born in the 50s age group, right? But my
our dad.
mom, you know, hey, my parents were in prison camps, and people would look at me like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know, I was born late to older parents, so I think I grew up with older parents and all their kids, and it was just like, that was my hangout. So I wasn't always looking to like get out of town and break free. I was like looking to do that good family stuff, and it just became kind of normal. But,
that was our normal.
So typical
right?
Indo family values, right? That's for sure.
Always. And but again, like I said, my parents embraced the American Western way. My dad and mom were staunch Republicans, and my dad, everybody would drive by. My dad was so proud of immigrating and doing everything right, right? Like taking his classes, becoming a citizen. I heard about it so much growing up that out of our huge hedge on the side of the front yard, he actually carved, like he could work at Disneyland, he carved elephants chained together, holding each other trunk to tail, and then put an American flag in the trunk because he was so proud of being able to vote. And that was something we had to do, right? When we turned 18, oh no, you have to register to vote. So because of their experiences of being, you know, imprisoned and having their rights, their human rights taken away from them, I think instilled in us was, you better be glad where you live because you have no idea. And that's when my dad would always say, you live in the land of milk and honey. And he believed that. And they came over to the States with Michael with nothing, and built, to my dad, he built, I mean, like I said, we didn't grow up rich by any means, but I never remembered wanting for anything because my life was so full with my family and my extended family. And I had so many tantes and ohms that our wedding was, well, this is my tante and your mom has so many sisters. Well, it's not like that. You know? So it was hard for people to grasp that.
You know, though, I think it was rare, and I want to bottle it, the fact that we were so proud of our culture, right? But never in opposition to the pride of the country they came to, which nowadays,
I think it's forgotten.
It's
lost.
well, I don't think it's forgotten. I think it's almost looked at like, you know, it's a hard balance for cultures that come in that when they're proud, it's almost like, hey, you know, you're America. Like, I don't know, there seems to be some battle between people being proud of their culture. It just seems like a battle, right? There's so much tension right now. But for us, I never had to be like, I was always talking like I was proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm different. I'm weird. I'm different.
Right.
You know, we eat this. Check it
Yeah.
out. You know.
Yeah.
And my
We
friends
eat-
would be
we
like,
eat yellow
oh, and then
chicken.
everybody was eating. Well, that fish still has a head on it. Yep, it's good. You know.
And we eat the eyes out of it.
Yeah.
Right. So like.
Sprinkles on bread.
Chocolate sprinkles on bread. You eat candy
Yeah.
for lunch, you know.
Yeah.
I'd be like, check it out.
Yeah. You jealous?
But nowadays, I almost feel bad because I'm a teacher, so I see a lot of
Yeah.
different cultures, and I feel sad when I see kids who come from other cultures feel like they have to hide it at the expense of, you know, maybe seeming like they're not grateful for being here. So whatever we had back then,
Don't you
never
wish we
did
could
it.
bottle that
Just
now?
bottle it and, like, you know,
Because
brand it and say, hey, be proud, but be happy here, and you know, don't feel like you have to hide, because I do see it a lot where I start asking students, you know, about how to pronounce a name correctly, or you know, what is your actual name? Because I know you pick an American name. Well, tell me about your culture, you know, because I'm addicted to those narratives. I love
Right.
that story.
Because we
that's-
came from that
we came
story.
from that, you know. So for me, I like investigating that and just prodding it out of people, because I do see a difference in then and now as far as that balance, you know.
Right.
It's super
And I
interesting.
think for Renee's kids and our kids, for Rick and I, you know, Rick comes from a very close, like you said, I think why we're going to be married, you know, 39 years in June, and I think why it works so well is because we do come from that same value, right? Family. I was so blessed that our parents, his mom and dad and my mom and dad, would go out without us, you know, after they got to know us. And that's very rare, period, that happens. And
that does extend to like how we celebrate family stuff now, like ex, you know, girlfriends or whatever, husbands. It's just it's like people don't leave. We have a strong base of like friends that, you know, we take in strays and people stick around, and we're just like, yeah, sure. And people laugh at me earlier because I'm like, when I was younger, like, hey, where are you going this weekend? Oh, my brother-in-law's mom's birthday. And people are like, you know your brother-in-law's mom? I'm like, I love Carmi. You know? That's like, why not? And to me, that confusion was always like,
what?
You don't know? And they're like, I don't even know her first name. And I'm like,
but isn't that the Indo way?
But that is an extension of that you know,
100%
Hawaiian
agree.
term, that ohana, that you shoop and everybody sticks, and it's attractive people who don't have
You
it.
get the words out of my mouth, no matter if you're Indo here or the Netherlands or Belgium, same thing. Always a question from outsiders, what? You do it like that? What? There's always food on the table. You go to a Dutch guy or family, you know, you have to call first, hey mom, is it okay if I can come over to it? No, I said, you're right, that's the Indo way, 100%. And you mentioned Hawaiian. Back in Belgium, what was I know my parents said, my dad said, you know, you're Indo, you're not Belgian or Dutch, Indo. But I always identify myself as an Hawaiian because we dance, or the girls do Hawaiian dances, you know. You go to Indische avonds, I mean to those Dutch Indo evenings, there's always Hawaiian bands, there's always that. And the next question I want to ask you guys, because I asked Braedy already, he's a musician. Country music, what's so typical with Indos and country music? I mean, I grew up, Sorry, Freddie Fender. You're married to. You're married to.
My mom loved Freddie Fender.
Same for me. I mean, So I'm asking American Indos, what is
Ask
so
her, 'cause
typical
I'm not
with
a big
American
country
Indos and country
me,
music?
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
You know what?
it's the story, I think, man.
Yeah, maybe it's the narrative.
The narrative and
that
the songs, for sure.
because if my mom would interpret an Indonesian song for me, it was basically a country music song.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the connection comes. I think by the time it got to, if you would ask any of the Indo kids that I grew up with, well, we're all now in our 50s, 60s, that skipped us, because I love country music, but it's not my first go-to.
Choice,
But
brings up memories, right?
I have memories.
yeah,
I have
absolutely.
memories of all the old Dutch Indo rockers. Like to me, I associate the rock and roll aesthetic with my ohms. That wherever we go,
you're
all of a
talking
sudden,
rock and roll like Engelbert Humperdinck and Tom Jones.
like with the Kakabana, all the all the ohms that had just a band, and every time there was and they Elvis, that there was that rock and roll aesthetic too that I think they fully I see that every time we would get together, they'd start strumming and
But it was about music. You're right.
It was music in general, but it's important to me. Music, that's one thing my wife and I share, and I know that Braedy, there's a lot of music love for sure. Does too.
Oh, absolutely. But also with Rick's side of the family, Hispanic family, music and movies and the arts they're so immersed in it all, and I think that's where they all, like you said, they all connect, and it's through music.
I think there's also in general creative vibe. Like I think this whole fam, they're super creative.
Wow, we have artists in this family.
Pop, like Lisa said, we weren't rich growing up, but we didn't want for anything. Yeah, we had the same washer and dryer for probably 30 years because Pop wouldn't let things die. He was like, nope, I can fix that.
It. Yeah.
He was.
And he did. And he fixed everything.
And,
don't throw things away. It's the typical thing.
But we also grew up with that work ethic, right? I don't know. Every Indo that I know, every Dutch Indo that I know, has an impeccable work ethic. And I think it was because we grew up early on having chores, and we didn't have a pool guy. We were the pool guy, right? and now you're the pool guy. But my dad taught me how to mow the lawn in a straight line, and also taught me how to change a tire, because he didn't want me on the side of the road helpless. So my parents were empowering all the way around, but if you talk to, and I can connect you with so many Dutch Indos from the South that are our age, that they will say the same thing. They're resilient people because that's what we came from. That's how we were brought up, and I'm so grateful for that.
So talk about Indo Pride, okay? So there it says Indo Project, In the Netherlands, all of us are there, but the biggest community of Indos outside of the Netherlands is here in SoCal. Growing up as an Indo child in Belgium, where there is zero Indos basically in the 70s, when I saw Indo musicians on TV, this Indo Pride came up, said, hey,
that's me.
That's an Indo. I mean, he's one of ours,
Yeah.
Over here for you guys, I mean, there's only Taco. Remember Taco? Put it on the rinse?
Yeah.
He was Indo, right?
Yeah.
I was 84. I was 17 years old. So I remember. So back then I said, hey, are you Mexican? He said, no, I'm Taco. Hey, that's Mexican. No, the singer Taco, So he was an Indo.
Right.
And then of course Van Halen. I mean, every time does that
well up some pride.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have the feeling too?
Yeah, I used to tell
100%.
girls like, Eddie Van Halen, like I got tickets from them. I got tickets from the OMA once. So I was.
Or my mom and dad played bridge at their house, and they did.
They were connected more on the Rosie end, not the Sos. Their family, and my mom came home with an envelope and said, "Here," and I'm like. I looked at it, and there were some backstage passes and some tickets. I couldn't even drive yet. So the Moluccan girl across the street, Angie, she's like, I can drive, let's go. So we took off. And I was like, whoa, I got tickets from the family, man. And it was like, I guess it was given to the grandparents, of course, Home and Opa weren't gonna go. they stayed, and I didn't know them, but I got it through my parents who were hanging out with
With his
them,
parents,
and they said, "Hey, who likes this?" And my parents were like, "I think I had all their posters up in my in my room," and I went, and it was the best experience. And you know, I used to talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it was definitely a pride point. You said so. Your background is also Hawaiian. You said
No.
because I used to tell girls I was Hawaiian
Same.
because I'd say Indo and they'd be like, huh?
Yeah, there you
But
go.
I'm like, Hawaiian.
Yeah, so Belgium is 10 times worse because I told the girls.
I remember.
the same thing.
I
you know?
remember visiting Belgium and feeling very dark.
There you go. I mean, dating white girls was a disaster because at the end of a club, she can go in, but I can't go in because I'm the color guy, you know. Same thing, random check. You're driving a car and then pulled over by the cops. Same thing, you know. It's profiling. I'm used to it, and I don't hate them, you know. But it's a typical thing, you know. If I would say I'm Indo, what is that? I said I'm Hawaiian. So that right there, all the girls, I'm Hawaiian. And then this car over here, I think I still have this little newspaper thing. There was a surfer attacked by a shark in Hawaii, you know, and I kept that and I had it in my wallet, you know. I said, look, this is the dude, there we go, you know. Got attacked and I showed this, you know. So Hawaii was more popular than being I'm Indo because nobody knew what Indo was.
More acceptable for
You know,
to
it's
kind of let
funny.
you pass.
It's funny that you would say that because, you know, growing up, I've been to Belgium and it was very different. And, but growing up in Southern California, even in the area in Covina where I grew up was mostly a Caucasian. There were 3 dark families on the street, period, right? I mean, early on. And, but I was always very proud to say I'm Dutch Indonesian. And
never hid that fact.
I never hid it. And because people couldn't figure out what I was. And
same for you.
And same for him. And
people
what
assumed, and then they asked, and then I love. That's why I'm obsessed with the conversation now. I love talking about race and culture. With people.
And you know, when we moved my dad in with us, one of the best things we ever did was put a huge map of Indonesia on his wall. And he was already, you know, he was 89, 90 when we moved him in. And then I connected a magnifying glass to the map, and we would sit there for hours, and he would sit and he would say, Meisha, this is where the war broke out, and then I rode my bike through the jungle and I could hear tigers at night. And even as old as I was, I would sit there and think, oh my gosh, you were 15 years old, right? You were 15 years old going through the jungle on your bike. How do you go through the jungle on a bike, number one? And it reminded me that that whatever came at us as a family, I could handle because that's where I came from, right? And that empowered me, and it still empowers me to this day. And I hear stories about my mom. My mom gave me the knife that my grandmother held at night. She slept during the day.
Back in the camp.
In the camps, and stayed awake all night with a knife because she would defend her girl's virtue. And that was her job to do. And I have that knife. And
mother instinct,
and I know that my Oma, I never met my Oma, and it's one of my biggest sorrows that I never got to meet her because she got ovarian cancer during prison camp. And by the time they were liberated and got back to Holland, my mom, as an 18-year-old, had to take care of her as she was dying. And that was another story that I thought, wow, you grew up for 4 years in a prison camp, and then you got out and you took care of your dying mom. I have nothing, Michael, ever in my life to complain about, right?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to leave much food. You know, that's a common thing. Don't
throw things away.
Don't throw things away. Recycle everything and reuse everything, and you know that's not done yet. You know,
right.
Those are common stories. I know my dad wrote a lot for the SoCal, and
we have a lot of his. I have all his stories.
keep them.
have them all
That's,
bound.
Oh, yeah, I
those
do.
little yellow pamphlets,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because as my dad got older, he would repeat the stories over and over. And
But that was good.
I never told him not to because I
Yeah.
wanted to not forget it. If I have one kind of like weird wish, I want to do a StoryCorps, because I've got it memorized, and PBS does this series where,
You should,
where they
brother,
it's
do
kind of like a
that.
spoken word thing,
Yeah.
because every time I tell this story, people are just like, that's a movie plot, the fact of how my dad, when the war broke out. I mean, I won't go into it now because I'm saving it for that, but it's an incredible story.
It
And
is.
whenever people hear it, they're like,
It's like
that
Hollywood
is a
worthy."
component of a movie that should be told.
There you
And
go. You just said it.
It's a movie.
But this is the thing. Everybody knows, with all respect, what happens with the Nazis and the Jews, But nobody knows what happened in Southeast Asia, particular.
Burst it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Right.
whole thing.
Yeah.
So why isn't Hollywood interested? Because there was no American involved in it. But Pearl Harbor is a movie based on true facts, and they make it a love story from. So it became Unbroken for Angelina Jolie. Same thing. It's about an American, but it's could be Indos, But that's the whole thing. And it will happen sooner or later. Like
But,
you said, thanks to social
but-
media, everything, and
Michael, in
Yeah.
the end, it just, for me, if it becomes a Hollywood movie or not, it's what these three kids right here and our two kids, they understand the story. And Landon and Lucas, John's boys, and that they hear the stories and they understand their foundation and where they came from, and it empowers you to know that our parents lived through horrible conditions in prison camp, and but on the other side of that there was favor for whatever reason, and we have so many stories, Michael, of why every Christmas Eve we sing and make the kids sing Silent Night, because my dad was going through the jungle in Indonesia and he heard a family singing Silent Night, and he heard that and he followed the sound, and for him, when he made the kids, they hated it at first, but we don't care, right? They just have to do it. Until you're 18, you have to sing that song. And but the story is so real because that got him where he needed to be and connected to the very family. He had no idea where he was. The very family that his father told him, go this way, go this way, go this way, stuck money in his hand and said, go to the train station. Part of your story, right? Got to the train station and the Japanese had blown it up. So he just kept following the track, and that's where he was led because of that song.
Dad's conversations with me all the time. I would try to parse out as much info because it was time was ticking. But I was always interested in the story. His stories about that time in his life. I try to relate to now, and one of them was, I said, Dad, were you angry at the Japanese? And he goes, and this might be just my dad. I'm not connecting this with anything Indo, because I'm sure everybody had their own experiences, and I don't want to negate any of that. But Dad's attitude, point blank to me, was, boy, it was war. They were doing what they thought they needed to do, and he has this amazing story where he was allowed to garden. Because my dad, like us, we're super social people, and it was like we get to know people. He got to know a guard, and they said, hey, I'm gonna garden just outside the grounds here, and he was being guarded by a guy. And I swear his story has a point, but the guard was singing, was it Patsy Cline or it was another artist of the time that I forget at the moment, Debbie Durman. And my dad goes, oh, you know that song? He goes, yeah, I'm a big fan. And he started to talk to his oppressor,
connecting,
and made a human connection,
music.
And then he found out that this was a dude that was going to school to be a dentist or a doctor in San Diego, and then was called home to to defend his family's
Yeah.
Yeah,
interest
is that
through his government.
unreal?
And then
No,
the
it's
guy
real.
said, you know what? I'm gonna do you a favor because you're a real person, because they were talking about music.
Yeah.
And
Connected.
he said, where's the rest of your family? Where are the women in your families? I don't know. Who are they? And my dad, you know, it could have gone wrong if he told him this, but he gave him the info. The next time that he was guarding him, he told him, hey, which this info was gold at the time, you know, hey, your family's here.
Safe and
they're
they're-
good,
Yeah.
they're safe. That was gold.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Through
Favor.
being cool, talking, being human. And
Right.
Dad's was like, hey, it was a war. But how many other people, and that was just, I know part of that was just my dad, man, because he was like Yoda.
Yeah, he
But
loved everybody.
He, you know, well, he got, he saw through situations, and he goes, you know, they were doing what they were doing, we were doing. Unfortunately, it was a bad situation, but he said that that information kind of settled him, you know, and then persevere and go through. But it made me realize, like, wow, we went to Japan as a family, my wife and I did, before we had kids, and you know what situation. I can't imagine any other family that this Japanese culture took your dad's life
Freedom.
away.
Yeah.
And now you are taking, you know, as the child, first gen, now I'm going to take my wife to that country and we're going to be there and everything's cool. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
If you look at, like, currently, you know, are your kids going to take their beautiful new wife to Afghanistan or to the Middle East, you know? Not likely, you know, but that was our situation.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, how did that happen?
And then
You know?
our son is an English teacher, and he teaches English in Japan.
The one who's coming back for
Yes,
okay.
and married the most beautiful, amazing Japanese woman. And our grandson is absolutely gorgeous. And I look at that grandson and I think, you are a little melting pot. You know, you're Hispanic, you're Dutch, Indo.
Yeah, but look at what his Opa went through
To get-
that kid's
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
But we weren't brought up to say, you know, that's Japanese. I love Japanese culture.
Yeah.
Thank you.
know?
See,
So,
how many Indos don't drive a Honda? How many Indos don't use a Sony Ericsson phone? How many? Because it's all.
right.
But your story from your dad, same thing from Wim van Vreeswijk. He was a young kid, and before the Japanese invaded Java, was working at the pharmacy, and the pharmacist was a Japanese guy in the Dutch East Indies. War breaks out, he goes on the prison ship to Burma on the railroad. What happens to be? That pharmacist was the camp commander.
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Talk about favoritism, no, connecting, you know, and
Right.
that Oom van Vreeswijk, he always was respectful against the Japanese pharmacists, and then so he survived camp. Same thing. I mean, asking questions, where is your brother? And then
Right.
I got good news, your brother's okay. He
Right.
is. So
And I know some people, because I read a lot, and I know for some Indos or for some Dutch Indos in Indonesia during the war, it wasn't like that. It was very, very brutal and abusive and
Right, which could
oppressive.
paint the narrative in a different direction,
Yeah,
for sure.
and I'm sure my dad has had scars on his body that he would tell us about, and but he never ever harbored resentment, and he never passed that
to the kids.
onto us ever, and for that I'm grateful, because I know some Indo families, like you said, oh no, I'm not going to buy anything that's
Same thing. How many?
manufactured in Japan.
My
or-
impression of the Indos in the United States, they're more closer to the Netherlands, while the Indos in the Netherlands are more closer to Indonesia. I know a lot of American Indos, first generation or in the 80s, 90s, they don't want to deal with Indonesia anymore. They don't want to go there on vacation anymore because it is what it is, the past, you know.
well, their
there is-
memories
Yeah.
are deep and
but that's
real.
But you still feel Dutch as Indonesia. I mean, you still have both. You still
I think-
love both
Both
sides.
cultures.
Yeah, I mean,
love both sides.
our opas, once they went back, we have one opa who was Poortman, who was very wit, shock of gray hair and hazel eyes. And So that was also celebrated in our life. And our home, we spoke Dutch. John and I try to speak Dutch as much as we can when we're together. I speak Dutch to his boys. I speak Dutch to Braedy and Jacque and Erin's kids, just so that we can, mostly they're just commands like, you know, veeg je voeten, ga je tante poetsen, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, they know the word feast. So we try, and I have to say that everybody, our kids have married. My daughter married, and my son-in-law loves Hispanic food. So he goes to Rick's mom and wants to learn how to cook, but he also loves the Dutch. You know, we were here for kerst, and he loves kerstbrood and the kaas and, you know, all of that. And my daughter-in-law is the same thing. You know, I want to learn about, you know, your culture. So it's just embracing. We want to learn about theirs, you know, and their traditions. So I think to carry it on for Renee's kids, because they are full 100%, literally Dutch Indo. And when you meet the littles, you're gonna see it. There's no
forward to meet the littles.
There's no. I own a speech and language clinic, and there is a little Indonesian boy who comes in, and he just walked past my office, and I stopped his therapist, and I said, "What's his name?" And she told me his name, and I said, "He's my people." And she just closed her eyes. She goes, "You are crazy. He is full on Indo." And I said, "I knew it. I can pick him out of a crowd."
And being a PE teacher, I'm constantly seeing kids cycle through, and I love making that connection. I see a new kid come in. You know, they're either Filipino or they're Indo. Next. And, you know, sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but they always ask.
There's a curiosity, right?
There's a curiosity.
Like, what is
always.
You know, and
well, because people asked us that our entire lives. What are you?
I'll throw it out. And they're like, they look at me like they're seeing the ghost because they don't know what I am. And they're
the last
like,
thing we think about
what? And I do that on vacation.
We have a lot of fun.
You know how
with
well traveled the Dutch are. They love to get out. And we are, and, you know, Cass, my wife, she's always she sits down and gets comfortable. Whenever I hear Dutch, she hears it now too. I have to go and mess with them and talk. And I always, you know, start throwing out my Dutch, and you know, they're like, fuck Davenches, who are you? And I'm like, okay, and then I tell them the story. And then,
it's normal. I have the same thing when I am surrounded by Indonesian people. Last thing they would have think that I am. My mom is full-blood Indonesian, you know.
Bahasas?
I speak Bahasa, and then they talk, and it's getting exciting. They talk stuff about me, you know. And then at the end, like, you do the same thing, huh? Bang, and then how many times I say apologize this, you know how they are, you know. And it's a normal thing. So it's
When we first moved to Ontario, babe, when did we move to Ontario? When was it? 87. On South Ontario was a huge Dutch community. All the farmers and all the dairy owners were Dutch. And when we first moved out, I would be in the market, and it would be like, I would hear. And they were always talking about my son's hair, because it was thick, and, you know, so he got his daddy's hair. And they would talk about
in Dutch,
Dutch, and I'd say dankjewel, and they'd go, oh. You know, and they'd be in shock because they're not expecting us. But we have cousins who are white,
chestnut, like big Dutch farmers, you know. And I always people. It's hard. It's a moving target. They're like, well, how come you look like this? I'm like, well, I just baked a little longer, man.
That's
right.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa. Here we are with the third generation American Indos here in SoCal, so SoCal Indos, and they're gonna introduce themselves to you all, starting here at the right.
Hi, I'm Jackie's daughter Neve. I'm 17 years old.
Hi, I'm Aubrey. I'm Brady's son. I'm 16 years old.
Hi, I'm Finn. I'm Brady's son, and I'm 10 years old.
Hi, I am Landon. I am John's son, and I am 12 years old.
Hi, I am John's son, and I am Lucas, and I'm 10 years old.
Hi, I'm Braven, and I'm the son of Chris and Jackie Ford, and I'm 15 years old.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I am also the daughter of Jackie and Chris. I'm 20 years old, and this is Poppy, daughter of Marshall and Erin Graves. And we're missing one, Bowie Graves, the brother.
Perfect. So my first question to you guys is, what is your favorite Indo dish? If from mom or from Oma, if I mention Indo dish, what do you think? If you think of hamburgers, you think in and out, but Indo dish. What makes you really want that?
It's got to be Oma's, I think it was her mashed potatoes. She had something crunchy in it, like chips or something. But
Cornflakes.
Cornflakes, that's what it was.
Oma potatoes.
I like the same thing as him. The Oma potatoes are my favorite Indo food out of all time.
My favorite's fried rice. It's just rice and it's fried. It's amazing.
And I like shrimp chips. It's really good.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like the yellow chicken. It's really good.
And look at
I want to say, I'm pretty sure the name of it is nasi goreng. And Aubrey and I, when we were little, we had this, my Opie, when he was older, we had a caretaker for him. And she would make Aubrey and I nasi goreng. And I just remember as kids, we would like sneak up to her and like tug on her shirt and just be like, can you make us nasi goreng? She'd be like, no, and like shoo us off. But yeah, that's what I remember, like him and I.
Mine is literally anything with peanut sauce on it. That's the best. It makes everything 10 times better.
You said peanut sauce, right? You know how they call Indo people in the Netherlands? They call us peanuts. Pinda means peanut. So we were still called, hey Pinda, means hey peanut. It's like a cute word.
Yeah.
Pinda.
Peanuts goes
There
mega purple.
Peanuts? You like peanuts?
So at school or with your friends, if you practice sport, don't you ever get the question, hey, what's your ethnicity? I mean, are you this or that? I mean, what about you? What do they usually think you are? Because they never heard of Indo, but...
I would say the common guess is usually like Hawaiian or just some kind of like Pacific Islander kind of thing. They never guess that I'm just like
Polynesian.
Yeah, I would just say like Pacific Islander.
Yeah. What about you?
I get Mexican a lot. People think I look very Mexican.
Who's a very Mexican in the family with you?
My uncle Rick and my Tante Kelly.
Good.
They're not blood.
But from mom's side or dad's side?
Nobody.
Perfect. What about you?
I usually get Pacific Islander as well. People look at me and it's like, you look like you're belonging to Island.
What about you?
I really know it's ever asked me or try to guess what I am.
And what about you?
Especially after summer, because I like to be outside shirtless, they think I'm just black. They think I'm like mixed.
Yeah, same like me. I mean, I get dark. I mean, all of us, I guess, get dark, right? Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, they're Polynesian.
Polynesian also? Good. I know what you do, but what is your favorite waste of time? What sport, hobby, I mean, what do you do?
Well, my sister and I have grown up dancing. We dance a lot, but then we're also outside a lot. Like we've grown up hiking, going to the beach a lot, surfing, so...
Look it.
So we dance at North County Academy of Dance in Bonsall. She's still currently there, and then I also moved to Anaheim and I dance with Rika Dance as well.
And I think you're going back east, right? To college, right? So you
Our daughter.
Oh.
you told me that's right, yeah. Okay, perfect. What about you?
I play football and soccer.
Football, American or?
American football.
Okay.
And then and soccer, like football.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
And then I also ride dirt bikes and I skateboard.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I play basketball, and when I was little, I played soccer.
Soccer too.
I play soccer, and I still play soccer today.
You're amazing.
I like to play football with my friends out in the streets, and I do saxophone.
Yeah. Musician, right? Yeah. How about you?
I play video games and I like drawing.
And he gets straight A's.
I'm about to start riding dirt bikes and I also skate.
Perfect, nice. Name me one Dutch or Indo word that you can say right away.
Lekker.
Lekker.
Lekker, hey.
Father.
Lekker, I guess.
Lekker.
Yes, same. Lekker.
And you?
Higher handen wassen.
Higher handen wassen.
Higher handen wassen.
Wear a mask.
Higher handen wassen.
Keep a distance.
Lucas, at Disneyland, what do I tell you when you're going to touch something? Do you remember? What's it when it's dirty?
I don't know.
Feast. Yeah, got it.
Don't be feast. Oh yeah.
Right?
Hello.
For any fellow Indos of the younger generation, we want to recommend you go and subscribe to
Muson, yeah.
Muson.nl online. There's an English version of this, so if you want to keep up on our culture, definitely go check that out.
Perfect. And then last but not least, this book is written by my good friend Saskia Rossi, and it's called Marcini's Gift. It's a story of an Indo family. It's in English, so you can get this. Just send me an email and I'll get you information. But very recommended to read this. It's about very common stories about all of us Indo families, what happened back then in the Dutch East Indies, during the prison camps and after the Besiap. This book. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Liza Poortman Herrera. I am a partner at Wing Speech and Language Center, located in Ontario, California. We have services for kids, preschool through adult, and our goal is to give children a voice. So follow us on Instagram at Wing Speech, follow us at Facebook at Wing Speech, or go to our website. Thank you so much for following SoCal Indo.
Hi, my name is Jackie Ford, and this is my husband Chris, and we are De Bloom Co. We are a floral design business. We do weddings, events, small orders, and we're in Fallbrook. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, we're De Bloom Co. And thanks for watching SoCal Indo.
Hi, I'm Erin. Thanks for watching and listening to my family story. If you're ever in North County, San Diego, stop by Fallbrook. We're opening up a wellness foods and juice bar. It's called Cultivate. You could follow us at cultivatefallbrook.com or on Instagram at cultivatefallbrook. Here.
Hey, what's up? My name is Braedy. Thanks for listening to my amazing family stories of our Indo heritage. You can follow my business, which is Akari _production_company on Instagram. We do lots of special events and concert events. You can just follow along, or if you're ever in need of any event coverage and fun stuff like that, check us out.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching another episode of Meet the SoCal Indos. Thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell. Every time I post something new, you'll get notified, and I do respond. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Yeah.